Officially, let's get this started here now. My name is Dave Rosendahl. I'm from Mindfire, and I've got just an incredible panel of direct mail experts with us today. I'm really excited to bring this group together. I think this is probably the first time a group of this stature has come together in an event like this. And our goal is to talk through what it takes to sell and to execute and to drive true end-to-end data-driven direct mail campaigns. If you were with us last week, I was just mentioning this earlier, we were with Summit Direct Mail and Lalu, who were talking about what it is like for a print service provider, a mail service provider, to offer OmniChannel to their clients. And that's one piece of the puzzle. We're certainly going to be touching on that today. But Mike Robinson and Ben Shank from Summit took us into what it takes for a company to do it successfully. If you weren't there and would like a recording, let me know in the chat, and my team will get you the video of that session. I definitely think you should check it out if you want an inside view of what it takes to do direct mail OmniChannel successfully and how Mike and Ben at Summit have done that. Now, as I looked at the registrations coming in today, I can see that there are a couple of things on your mind. As when you registered, we asked you, what's your top question for the panel? And one of the things that's coming through loud and clear is that many of you are wondering about your competitive positioning, right? How do you, if you're a print service provider, how do you compete? How do you continue to add value? And how do we differentiate in a crowded marketplace, right? So I'm seeing that theme loud and clear. If that resonates with you, drop a 1 in the chat if you're wondering about your competitive positioning. Second, I know many of you are trying to figure out, how do we prove ROI and measure success for the direct mail campaigns that we're running for our clients? I see a lot of questions about that. I see, is the USPS postage stuff that's going on and all of the things that are coming our way, are those things going to make it harder for me to sell mail and to prove that mail actually works? A lot of you are wondering that. So drop a 2 if that resonates with you in the chat. And then thirdly, there are a number of you who are wondering about the future of direct mail. Where does this panel see direct mail in 5 to 10 years? What are the underserved markets right now that we're not tapping into? What are the groups of customers who aren't doing mail right now that should be? And so if you're thinking about that, drop me a 3 in the chat, because I want to know where you are in terms of your thought process as you enter the room. But the common thread amongst all of these things is, how do we prove that direct mail not only can survive in this digital first world, but thrive? And how do we do that? How do we do that? And that's why I've got the panel that we've got assembled here today to dive deeply into that. As president here at Mindfire, let me tell you a little bit about why we've pulled this panel together and what makes our position in the market unique. I've had the opportunity of working with all of you for many years. And over the last 12 to 18 months or so, I started to notice that there is a kind of a shortage of information out there in the industry around how all of these technologies, Mindfire, XMPie, BC, all of this stuff works together in order to create data-driven direct mail campaigns. When I was a younger dude in the industry, my misconception was that all the adults, they must all understand this stuff, right? It's just me that doesn't get how all of this fits together. And what I found out, probably many of you have learned this as you've gotten older, is that honestly, most people are making it up as they go along. And I found out that there was this shortage of knowledge out there around how all of these complex systems work together. The other thing I noticed is, as a software company, as I looked at the different software solutions that many of you are using, like BCC, XMPie, Mindfire, I think we as software companies have made life unnecessarily difficult for you. So our systems don't work together as easily as they should. All of our systems call the same thing by a different name, right? And I almost feel it's a moral imperative that we have as an industry to make things easier for you. And that's why this panel is here. I started approaching each of these companies, XMPie, BC, HP, all of these organizations, and telling them, look, we need to figure this out. We got to make life easier. We shouldn't be making life harder for the market. Life's hard enough as it is, right? Can you give me an X in the chat if you agree? Life is hard enough as it is without all the other complications that we bring into it at times. So that's why this panel is here with us today. Each of these folks represent an organization who's a part of creating data-driven direct mail. And the way we're going to run this today is we're going to imagine going from left to right. I'm going to bring up a visual here that shows the journey that data-driven direct mail follows as it's getting produced. And so each of these organizations that you see here on the screen, These are all representative of the companies that I've started to engage 12, 18 months ago to bring this ecosystem together so that together we can bring all of you more value. Now, the first person I'm introducing to you here is Mike Robinson at Summit Direct Mail. And Mike is going to represent not only the print service provider in this story, but also the needs of the mail owner, of the end customer, of the brand, okay? And so Mike's had experience in the trenches of this industry for many years and truly understands what it takes to make a direct mail campaign work in today's digital age. The campaigns that he does with his clients, if you want to know more about those, last week's session really took a deep dive into that. But his understanding starts with working with the end customer to understand what their marketing or sales objective is, and then using that information to create a campaign that bridges or requires all of these technologies that you see here on the screen to work together. So that's Mike's role today. I'm going to introduce him here officially in just a moment, but I want you to know who he is in the journey. And then next to him on the right is Chris Lien of BCC Software. And Chris kind of wears two hats in the industry. I think many of Chris, Vice President of Industry Affairs at BCC Software, and he's also chairman of the National Postal Forum. And so that dual role gives him a unique perspective in what we're talking about today. He's fighting in the trenches for us as we navigate these complex postal regulations, and also working to make sure that we maximize every postage incentive and every opportunity we have, every discount that we have available to us to make mail work better for us. So Chris is going to represent BCC in the conversation today and bring us insights around what BCC's role is in the data-driven workflow. To his right, we have Scott from XMPie. Now, Scott's been in the industry for somewhere around 30 years and has seen a lot of the different facets of this production workflow. But today, he's representing document composition, that aspect of the workflow where the vision that Mike and the customer set up, where the data that the BCC and Mindfire have touched, where that campaign workflow comes together in the design of the piece to create these data-driven direct mail pieces. Ultimately, then, that has to move over to a press. That's why we've got Mark Johnson from HP. Mark's also got 30-something years of leadership in this industry, in this space. And at HP, he helps printers learn about and adopt these digital technologies in order to leverage their digital presses and create in mass, at mass scale, truly one-to-one direct mail campaigns. So in the conversation today, he's representing the print device that's used to manufacture the direct mail. And of course, in order to do that, he has to output the direct mail on a substrate, on a paper. And that's why I've got AJ Leo from Silvamo. She's around 20 years of experience in the industry, has worked on all aspects of it, logistics, marketing, sales. And today she's going to be helping us understand what we need to know about the paper that this direct mail is printed on. And she's bringing experience from some of the largest brands out there. Silvamo is powering somewhere around 1 out of 3 direct mail pieces in the US right now. So great vantage point that they bring. And then last but not least, certainly is Brenda Manos. None of this stuff matters, right? If we can't get the mail piece into the postal stream and get it delivered to the consumer. And so Brenda is representing that side of the equation. But what she brings is she's worked on both sides of the table here. She's worked at mail service providers like many of you. And now she works at USPS, helping us as an industry understand how to navigate these challenges. The perspective she's bringing today is around how do we tie in the promotions? How do we take advantage of all those opportunities to drive the best results? Does this make sense to everybody here? Do you see how all of these pieces fit together and why everyone is important? Give me a yes in the chat if you're ready to get started here. We've got some tremendous talent here. I want to make sure you take advantage of. The way we're going to do this, if you look at the screen right now, is we're going to use this visual to anchor our conversation, okay? As I go through each of these pieces, each of these folks is going to have about 4 to 5 minutes to take back or uncover for us or dive into each of their little components here that make up how data-driven direct mail gets executed. We're going to go from left to right. I know that it's not always linear. I know that sometimes we jump all around. I also know that there's some facets of direct mail that aren't listed here. I realize that. But I want to start here on the left with the printer, the mail service provider, who is working with the end customer, the brand, the mail owner, okay? And as Chris Lien and I have traversed the country talking with printers about the need that they have to evolve to stay competitive, one of the easiest ways for us to hammer home the value that the print service providers here in the room have is to help you understand how, if you're sitting with a customer, and you want to tie yourself to the value of direct mail, to the purpose of the piece, which is vital, then you have to understand, if you look at the screen right now, if you can put this up on the screen, Carissa, you have to understand data-driven direct mail and the dashboard potential, the reporting potential that you have to be able to show how direct mail moves through the postal service with IMB mail tracking, how you can activate it digitally with informed delivery, how you can start to capture response, turn that response into leads, and then ultimately into revenue with full revenue attribution. This is an example of a Mindfire dashboard. I'm just using this to illustrate that it's critical for you to be able to demonstrate the value that you bring to your customers, the brands, the mail owners, with a view like this in order to really understand the purpose of the piece and the value that it brings to your customer. Chris, Lien, I'm going to tag you in here from your point of view. And first of all, thank you for being here with us. But from your point of view, what's critical for printers in the audience here to know about a view like this that we're seeing here on the screen?
I think the two important things, thank you, Dave, for asking the two important things when I look at a screen like this and a dashboard. First of all, the data is available. This is the time, folks. This is now when we can truly measure the efficacy of direct mail and the overall campaign and the power that has. We've hinted around about it before, the household diary study. We've seen that the read and scan rates continue to be about 66% for all the mail that's delivered. But now we have the data to back that up. So folks, the days of spray and pray are over. You're not just spraying a barcode and praying it arrives. You've got data to measure that attribution, and attribution is the key part of that. We are now able to talk about, sell, and make money on impressions. And that's the big pivot point, folks. Direct mail is the beginning of a journey that builds up, priming the mailbox to expand on the return on investment and the response.
Chris, I'm going to bring you back in a moment, but to kick us off here, let's start with you, Mike Robinson, here on the left. I want you to take us inside Summit, Mike, and tell us just a little bit about your company. And then specifically, when you work with a client, a mail owner, a brand, we all call them a little bit different here, a little different names. But when you start with a client to execute a data-driven direct mail campaign, how does that all start for you typically?
Great. Thanks, Dave. Summit Direct Mail, we've been around since 2003. We are a true variable digital direct mail provider. We produce roughly 1.5 million pieces of mail per day, all verticals, all different kinds of substrate, postcards, self-mailers, letters, snap packs, et cetera. So we are a turnkey total solution direct mail provider. So with that being said, how we get a customer to start and do direct mail, the first question is understanding who they are and what they're trying to do. I'd love to say that me printing it is what's going to make the decision, but first key piece is understanding what they're trying to do, getting the correct data and the correct offer. We work with a customer to get that piece and then help them design, if they don't already have one, help them design a package that's going to utilize the best data they have and the best offer that they have for me to be able to print and put that in the mail for them.
One of the questions I have for you here, Mike, when Chris and I and others are talking to printers who are thinking about getting into the game the way you are, is that oftentimes what I'll hear from them is they'll say, my clients aren't asking for OmniChannel. Nobody's asking for this stuff, right? So I'm curious, when you engage a new customer or clients coming up to you and saying, hey, Mike, I need OmniChannel, or what are you hearing them say that leads you to bring that to the table as a solution?
Usually it's they need help of some form or fashion. Obviously, me being the direct mailer, I come in, I can show them some value of the direct mail side. But as a turnkey provider, I look at where they're at and what they've got, right? And to go in and try to change everything, it's very difficult because you're not going to get a true read on what's going to happen. Was it me mailing it? Was it the data? Was it now adding OmniChannel? So I just go in and take one step at a time. Let me take one piece. If it's the mail, let me handle the mail. Let's get the mail going where it needs to go. And then next, let's start talking about the OmniChannel. Are you doing email? Are you doing personalized URLs? Are you doing QR codes? And I'll take one of those. Typically, it would be the personalized URL and the QR code, and I'll start that on top of the current mail. And then once I get that going, then I just start gradually adding additional products and services that can help increase value, get them a better ROI, et cetera.
So question for you, Mike, and the audience. I want you all to chime in on this. Whose job is it, Mike, to do that part of the process, adding in the OmniChannel and coming up with that strategy? Is that the client's job to ask you for that, Mike? Or Mike, is that your job?
I don't know if it's their job, but that's one of the things that I go in at, right?
Yep.
I look and see where they need help.
Yep.
Obviously, being a print and mailer, that's my first step is, hey, let me see if I can help you with the printing, the mailing, potential postal discounts, things that we see, the industry experience, et cetera. But then that next step is, I always take that next step as omni-channel. Let's add something to the direct mail to make it more valuable. Let's drive personalized URLs. Let's drive QR codes. Let's do something to do some additional engagement to the direct mail piece that they have.
So audience, I want you to chime in here. Whose job is that? Is that your customer's job to ask you for this? Or is that your job? I think you know where I'm going with that, but I want to know what you all think. So now let's assume that Mike closes the deal, which there's always a very high chance that happens. And Mike, now you've got the customer, you've got the data for the mailing. Maybe the customer is giving you their house file, or you've acquired a list through a partner. Let's take the next step here. Let's follow the data. And the next step over to the right here is over to BCC. So Chris, what happens next from here?
All right, thanks, Dave. So again, if we're talking about data-driven technology, we're talking about enhancing direct mail, the most important thing we need to do is not put junk in the mail, right? And when I talk about junk and I talk about bad mail pieces, I'm first and foremost talking about bad addresses. If you have an address that's not complete, correct, and current, it is not going to get timely, predictable, and ultimate delivery of the mail. And UAA, as we call it, has been tracked by the Postal Service for over 20 years. I'm giving you a snapshot here. Again, this is directly from the United States Postal Service. It comes off of the Postal Pro website. You can find it out there if you're interested in it. But I've been tracking this for a long time. And what I want to draw your attention to is the last 2 years, 2023 and 24 on the right, because that's the most recent data from the Postal Service. Yes, the overall volume has dropped. And I expect that, right? Mail volumes overall between those two measured time periods have dropped about 21%. But you know what? Undeliverable as address mail has been dropping faster, about 28%. If I dig deeper into the data that's with that, where I see the good and the bad, the good news is that marketing mail, the UAA, is coming down faster, okay? So that during that same measured time period is about 37%. UAA is down compared to the 24% roughly that was for the volume. First class, though, first class mail is not declining the UAA. It's still pretty aggressive, and that's costing us all a lot of money. You see it, $1.4 billion to the Post Service. Folks, they don't carry that on the balance sheet. That's passed through as posted prices to us. So if we want to stay postage, if we want to enhance the value of the mail piece, we need to make sure the address is correct. So it starts with the address, and tools to do that are actually on our next slide, Dave. And the tools that will use that, the Postal Service has a number of different data sets, and you can see them on the right there. And I'm just showing that to illustrate that it's a pyramid approach. We start by looking at standardizing the address with our CAS certified software. Then we validate it. Hey, is this really a deliverable address from the Postal Service, or is it an empty lot or a vacant building or something? And then as we start to clean that and make that address complete and correct by filling in all the information that we need with it, now we can start looking at, okay, has this person moved? Are they still there? Maybe they didn't file a change of address with the Postal Service, so maybe I can pick them up at a proprietary change of address that looks back 5 years or considers other sources other than the national change of address from the Postal Service, right? So these are all tools that build upon each other, and this is what your software does for you, is it goes through and it checks to make sure, do I have an address that's complete, correct, and current? So it can do that. And then we also leverage non-postal data to determine things like, is that individual deceased, right? Stop mailing to dead people. It drives me crazy. And there's still millions and millions of pieces out there. You are not going to get a response rate, people, if you're mailing a direct mail piece to somebody that's deceased. And if you do, I want to see that. That's a heck of a mail piece. Invoke the dead. So we need to really focus on cleaning up our address list. The tools are available, and that software is talking to you. You need to be listening to the return codes, taking advantage of that, because the price of postage and the price of production, it's too high to afford to continue to put junk in the mail. And here's the best part, Dave. If I take that bad stuff out, that's not going to get a response rate, the overall response rate of the pieces that do get delivered goes up. And that's why we're seeing the Household Diary study, these impressive numbers, 5, 8, 15% response rates if you are doing things correctly. Accelerate your attribution, people. You can make it happen. And the key to all of this, once we have the address all correct, is that barcode. The Intelligent Mail barcode is more than just tracking for the Postal Service. This is your vehicle to be able to send strategically timed digital messages that prime the mailbox while that piece is inducted to its final destination. On average, the Postal Service is going to scan that mail piece anywhere from 5, 6, 7 times on its journey. Each scan event is an opportunity to message. And so we bake into the barcode, right? The ingredients that are necessary to bake a successful barcode is the identifier of how that piece is going to be pre-sorted. What type of mail class is it or service am I requesting? Who's the mailer that's going to be identified for this? What's the unique serial number that has to be tracked for that 45-day window? And then the zip code, is the routing code, which again is part of that zip+4. Some of this data is baked a little bit further down. Some of it is enhanced, flavorized, if you will, downstream some of the technology, but it begins with the software. So the two most important things with that BC and the software providers are doing, getting those addresses corrected and baking the structure of the barcode for later on.
Awesome. Makes sense. Folks, if you have questions for Chris Lien, or for Mike Robinson representing the brand mail owner and the print service provider there, drop them into the chat because we're going to hit all of those questions during Q&A. So be selfish, ask your questions there in the chat. So now that BCC has done their work through the partnership between BC and Mindfire, the data comes over to Mindfire. And in this workflow here, Mindfire is the OmniChannel platform that connects the direct mail with all of its trackable components and renders the dashboard that we saw a few moments ago there on the screen. Our platform is a web-based omni-channel platform. It's designed to meet the needs of enterprise-level direct mail printers and agencies and their clients. And so every channel that Mindfire orchestrates, here you can see the workflow designer on the screen, all of these are designed to work together to help you drive more engagement, response, conversion, and ultimately, usually, sales for your clients. And we do that through different kinds of workflows. Mike Robinson and others who use Mindfire are in some cases using pre-designed best practice workflows and templates, or they can be designed from scratch in order to create the campaign that meets the specific need of the customer. Now, not only are we running obviously direct mail through the system here, but every other digital component like email that you see here on the screen can be orchestrated through Mindfire. And ultimately, all of the pieces come together, all of that firepower comes together to drive the kind of results that you're seeing here on the screen. That's how all of that happens. So in order to make that kind of workflow possible, that omni-channel workflow possible, there's actually a framework for planning, creating, executing, and managing all of this inside of Mindfire's software. And so I'm just going to step through this at a very high level. Chris Lien, I'm going to tag you in here in just a moment, as well as you, Mike Robinson, with a quick question. But at a high level, if you think about an omni-channel campaign, and we're going into kind of what omni-channel means in the context of our conversation today. If you look up in the upper left-hand corner, everything starts with identifying the audience that this campaign is going to target. Usually that data is coming from BCC, as we talked about today. Step 2 is what we call priming the mailbox. So this is where we are delivering brand impressions across digital channels, across informed delivery, before that mail arrives in the mailbox, right? That's step 2. Step 3 is where we're tracking and capturing through all of the mechanisms that a consumer could use to respond to that mail piece, whether it be a personalized QR code, a PURL, a trackable phone number. All of those things are happening there in step 3. Step 4 is where you drive retargeting and engagement. So let's say you get 1,000 people to respond to a mail piece. You might only get 20% to actually convert into a lead in that first visit. What about the other 80%? With a system here, with the Mindfire and all this technology linked together, now you know who that 80% is and can immediately start retargeting those folks. And then lastly, all of this pulls together in a reporting view like the one that we've had on the screen here today. Mike, I'm going to ask you a question here first, and then Chris, I want to tag you in. When you're planning out an omni-channel campaign like this for a customer, do you find that you're doing all 5 of these areas for every single client, or are you picking and choosing based on what the customer needs?
I offer all 5, but depending on who the customer is, some of them do it themselves. So it's almost the buffet, a la carte. Say, look, I can offer you all 5 of these items, either, and then they look at it and it's either I can do it better than them, or they already have a solution in place. The challenge that I see with this, and this is where that's one of my biggest challenges, is the digital team and the direct mail team don't work together. And because they don't work together, there's an internal fight. So letting the direct mail team or people that work with the direct mail team, such as me, help them becomes a challenge. But the good marketers will use all 5 of these steps. And depending on what components or what things they have already, I can provide or they can provide themselves.
Makes sense. Chris, Lien, when you and I first started talking about how BCC and Mindfire should be working together, how did you see, or how do you see the omni-channel component fitting into what BCC is dominating the market for and has done so for years? How do you see those two things fitting together?
So a couple things. So first of all, digital, physical, it's an and. They go together, right? They're phygital. They have to be working together.
Let's
And
get digital, Chris.
I know we're going to get digital, folks. In the beginning, they were viewed as an either or, but the problem that a lot of marketers are now seeing is people are shutting off the digital channels if you do that as a solo event, right? And they're coming back because the one thing you can't shut off is the mailbox. Direct mail makes it through. Now we need to build on that though. And that was one of the biggest challenges for building on a physical direct mail piece was how can I trigger or prime the mailbox in a manner that allows me to build anticipation of arrival, which increases the response rate. We have that now. We have it with the informed visibility feed from the Postal Service for those scan events. We have it with the informed delivery, that daily email scan from the Postal Service, which by the way, is over a third of the country. So over a third of the entire nation now has informed delivery and it continues to grow. That's free impressions, folks. So now I'm seeing a lot of my customers coming here and saying, okay, I see the data, Chris. I see the visibility. I need interoperability. I'm going to throw another big word out there. Interoperability. I need to have these systems communicate back and forth to each other. We can do it manually or we can automate it. And that's the big part that we're looking at is how can we automate this? How can we make APIs so all of this communicates so that Mike and the rest of my customers can easily have that conversation and begin to pivot into talking to their customers about what type of response rate were you expecting? What would you like me to deliver for you? And now we can begin to start selling on impressions and responses.
So I see a question here from, let's see, was it Brian? Yeah, Brian, how many people are needed to manage this? What's the ideal person look like? And I saw Suzanne mention to you, Brian, that was a good, last week's session's a good one to answer that, but I'll have Mike Robinson answer that during the Q&A in real time here to make, I'm sure there's others who are interested in the same question. So now that we've looked at the printer's role working with the brand, we've talked about BCC and the data prep, we've looked at the omni-channel workflow. Now it heads over to XMPie. And so to talk to us about this component, Mr. XMPie, take it away. What happens here?
All right, so what happens here, Dave, is the variable data composition aspect. And as you mentioned earlier, it doesn't have to be totally linear. So what I mean by that is while BC and the data processors are preparing the data appropriately, the pre-media side could still be prepping the template, using sample data, doing what we call tagging the document. And in case of XMPie, this is done natively in InDesign with no need to change it or convert it to another file format or move it into a separate tool. This allows any of the object-based elements, like the samples on your screen, to be supported throughout the composition process. This overall goal from XMPie is to enable our industries to support all of what brands and creatives want to do without any creative limitations. So here, what we want to do is talk a little bit more about the data. So reiterating the support for the object-based approach, the data is what's affecting the original creative. This could be straight up data. This could be some business logic that is affecting the content that's going into the template, text changing out, images, design styles, even layers or multiple pages turning on or off per person, in this case within InDesign. And now that the final mail managed data is ready after that work from BCC, we can now point to that final data right up to that last moment before composition, which gives you a more strategic advantage of using that most up-to-date data. Now, the next part of it is we follow it from original creative, maintaining it all the way through composition. It's obviously important from a production standpoint that these files are optimized. XMPie composes these files in an optimized way so that preparing it for the DFE in front of the HP in this example. And it's a good opportunity to not only stress the importance of these optimized files, but to also maybe introduce something that some of you might need to know about. It's a little more wonky, but that's PDF VT as a file format that makes our technology at XMPie shine, and also the printing industry. Look into PDF VT if you're not familiar with it, and the work the PDF Association and actually Cal Poly University do using some testing with us to maintain the standards that helps the industry overall, because what that's doing, it's enhancing the effectiveness of the direct mail as it goes out to the production inkjet technologies.
Got two questions for you. First one,
Yep.
What is DFE? What is that?
The digital front end. So in front of every production device, like you see here, the HP PageWide, in front of every device is a RIP, if you're familiar with that part of the industry, or the DFE. It's what processes these incoming PDFs and rasterizes them or prepares them for production. So it's a step that happens technically right from between the composition side and the actual production print side.
Scott, sometimes I know folks have confused XMPie and Mindfire and said, hey, you're competitors. Why are you two guys talking together? Why are you working together? So just what did you think when I first approached you and said, hey, we should be working together in a more cohesive fashion? What was the first thing that went through your head?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, at first there could be, okay, how does this work together? Once your people are educated, we understand that you still need, anybody using Mindfire still needs to do that high-end composition step that we're talking about here.
Yep.
And you and I have talked through that, and that's part of the ecosystem. So we're just playing that part of the role. And we know that just like some clients have certain types of presses and production equipment, some clients are going to have different types of workflows upstream. And XMPie was built to be agnostic and leverage our IP and our Adobe partnerships and expertise to accommodate any workflow.
Absolutely. You mentioned print and that part of the process. And so that's a perfect transition to Mark from HP. Tell us what happens as we follow the data to your big, beautiful print devices. What happens from here?
So everything you've just seen so far culminates in ink going on paper before it goes into the mail. And it's not a light touch. This is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. So when we look at print, what I want everyone on this call to understand is digital printing has changed a lot, even in the last decade, certainly in the last 20 years. In the olden days, when Scott and I started doing this stuff, you were always apologizing. Digital print, it was like print, but it was a little different. And brand owners got that stuck in the back of their head. So when they hear digital print, sometimes they think 10, 15 years ago what digital print was. Erase that from your brains, because right now, when you see something being printed, I don't want to speak for you, Mike, but I've got printers that they tell their clients, don't tell me what device to print it on. I'll give you the most beautiful, perfect print. And whether it comes off of my Indigo or my iGen or my PageWide press or my whatever press or offset even, the client shouldn't care. And that's where we're, I think, evolving to as an industry is agnostic print. Digital print that is the same, it's unapologetic, the quality, the color, the pop, everything is what everyone has always expected from print and more. So hit the next one for me. What we've done at HP is taken that, let's get the quality thing checked. Let's make sure that we can print as good, if not better than what everybody's expecting. Now, how can we make it the most productive it possibly can be? And I call that velocity. Our customers have to be able to print not necessarily 200 million impressions per month, although I do have presses that can do that much. They might have to do a couple million overnight. And that's what people are building their production floors for, is being able to take that work when it comes, where it comes, and deal with it. So flexibility becomes a real big part of the play. What we offer is unapologetic color on whatever media, whether it's gloss, satin, uncoated, pretty much whatever your client wants, or even what they don't even know they want yet, you can print on it. And the kinds of applications, I don't have to go through all of these with everybody, but I do want to highlight one thing, and I'm sure we will talk about this later on with our friends from the post office. Being able to do catalogs, I have printers who have never touched a catalog in their life, but with the way some of the programs from the post office are coming out, catalogs aren't necessarily what you think they are. They're not the old Sears Big Book. They are marketing pieces. They're magalogs. They're more personalized, and that's what digital printing lets you do, is take all of this data that we've got on people and put it into this amazing personalized book that, guess what? The kids, or the Gen Zs, love getting personalized stuff that speaks directly to them, their interests, their passions. So digital printing enables all of that stuff to happen. And
Did
we
you
can
say
do it.
Magalog?
I love that. That's my favorite word, is Magalog. Combination magazine catalog. It's a
That
catalog
could go a
with
couple
more
of different
content.
ways there, Mark.
From HP standpoint, this is the only commercial message I'll give you. We've got press platforms all the way from things that can take lots of different diverse jobs and do lots of one-offs, all the way to these giant inkjet presses that can print hundreds of millions of impressions per month. So whatever the need is, we've got something that will fit in there, whether it's from Indigo or our inkjet side of the house. And then, of course, all of the tools that go into what Scott said with the DFE, all of that stuff, getting the files to print. And then also the partnerships with the finishing, because something we're not talking about here is after I'm done printing it on somebody's paper, hopefully Salamos, we got to do something with it, whether it's fold it, put it in an envelope, or fold it and stitch it, or make a book out of it, or tip on cards, or so there's a ton of different finishing things that happen at the next step of the process. And that's something that we also interface with and partner with everybody in the industry.
Yep. Wonderfully said. Folks, look, everything from kind of Summit to BCC, Maximpi, all of those things are ephemeral, bits and bytes, right? Software. With Mark and HP, and now moving over to Silvamo here in a moment, now we're getting into stuff that you can actually touch, that touches you back, right? Obviously the press, you can see that. And now we're getting to the paper that the direct mail is actually printed on. Before I bring AJ onto the stage here, I want to know, did you get value from what Summit, what BCC, XMPi, HP has provided so far? Give me a 1 in the chat if you're at least picking up one new thing in this conversation that's either giving you a new thought or a new insight into how things work here, how things come together. So Steve is saying 1, Jay is saying 1. Please, folks, let me know there in the chat if this is bringing value to you, because now we're going to turn the corner into, oh, we got 2. Brian, does that mean 1 and 1? Awesome. What I want to do now is I want to bring AJ here into the conversation. So AJ, tell us about Silvamo's role in this process here.
Yeah, first of all, every time I'm around this panel, I always learn something and get value. So thank you guys for that. But so who is Silvamo? Silvamo is only about 3.5 years old. We spun off from International Paper, the papers division. And so although we're a new company, our brands are still the iconic brands that you are used to. So we have Williamsburg Accent, Spring Hill, and Hammermill. So our annual sales are around 3.8 billion. We've got about 6,500 employees around the globe and 7 paper mills around the world. 2 of those paper mills are in North America. We've got 1 in New York and 1 in South Carolina. And all we make is uncoated paper. We are completely committed to the uncoated free sheet market. We're not going anywhere. That's all we do. So just wanted to remind you guys who we are, just because we are such a new company in this industry. And I think, Dave, you mentioned earlier, about 1 in 3 pieces that goes through the mail system is on our paper, whether that is the envelope or the statement you're printing on or whatever it is. So direct mail is very important to us. And at Silvamo, we want to be more than just that paper manufacturer. We want to be a partner in this process. And we understand with the rising costs to send mail, direct mail is really evolving from a commodity to a luxury. And so we want to help you make sure you get the most out of everything that you mail. We've touched on how to do that with the other folks, but one thing we're doing to add to that is when you order paper from us, you get access to our built-in direct mail tracking platform through our partnership with Mindfire. So I know Dave's talked about it already, but what we will provide is those results. So you can see who responded. You can track that ROI and finally connect the dots between send and sales. I think Chris mentioned earlier, no more spraying and praying, and we can help with that. And what we're doing right now is testing that theory. So we do have a pilot program going on, and if it is something that you or your brand owner are interested in, we can help with that. There are a couple of requirements. The first is about a 350,000 piece count, and that's really just to help make sure we get the data to help you tell that story. We want you to share that data. It can be anonymized, but what we're going to take from that is create these case studies to continue to tell the story that we all need to tell on the effectiveness of direct mail. Of course, we want that piece to be on our paper, and we would just love to partner with you. So if you've got a customer who might be interested in some of this omni-channel technology, this could be a really good opportunity to reach out, and we can help you with that, really at no additional cost to you. Again, we would help pay for that software for the pilot. And I think we'll do a survey later, but if you're interested, please let me know. But again, we're trying to be more than just the paper manufacturer. We want to work with you on this to make sure we can keep direct mail and help it remain effective.
Good, innovative idea. I see from Julian here. Suzanne, can you roll the poll? Suzanne's got a quick poll. If you would like to take advantage of what AJ just listed there with Intelligent Paper, fantastic partnership with Sylvamo and Mindfire here and all the other providers that are here, all of it gets woven together. If you would like to talk more with AJ and her team about that, I'm going to leave this up for just a few seconds. I think it's just got a yes, no, and please send me more information. So just give us a quick answer there. I'm going to leave it up for a few more seconds. Please turn your attention to the screen and give us a quick answer there. AJ, thank you for leading the way in bringing more value to the paper that Sylvamo brings to the market. I'm really energized, and I think the audience, you can clearly see, is also interested in the value that you're bringing here. So leave it up for another few seconds here. 5. Okay, looks like we just closed it up. Thank you, Suzanne. That's awesome. We will follow up with all of you. I appreciate you bringing that on the screen there, Suzanne. All right, so now we're going to move over to the final part of the puzzle here, where that piece moves into the postal stream. And that's where our friends at USPS do the work of getting these pieces into the mailbox. And so to talk us through that, Brenda Manos, how are you?
Hello, thanks for having me. I'm going to talk about the promotions. And I don't know if you all know, but the promotions are designed to encourage mailers to adopt new mailing formats. And so for that, we're going to give you a discount for doing that. If you do informed delivery, or you add a QR code, or tactile paper, the use of AI, these are all helping your response rates. And for that, we give you a discount. So in 2025, and we have a new catalog, or a magalog, as he said. So I wrote that one down because I thought that was very clever. And I'm going to talk about that in a second, because that's a new one that we have coming out. But for 2025, there is still time to jump in on the promotions. There are a few left that we can still do, that you can still do. And any of us on this call can help with that, including myself and our team at USPS. So one of them is the integrated technology. You can start that right away and go through the end of the year. It's a 3%, plus you get an extra 2% off if you add informed delivery and if your paper is sustainable. All of these are 3% off, and you get to the extra 2%. And also, if you're an eDoc submitter, the MSP, mail service provider, you get an extra 0.5% just for processing it. So keep that in mind, because we want you to help our customers out. So that's the integrated technology that you can still do. You can still do the reply mail, and that's going to be gone in 2026, which I'm going to talk about. But the first class mail, you can start that now. That's starting in September 1st at the end of the year. If you put a marketing message on the envelope or in the inside, there's a discount to be had for that. And then the big news is our catalog insight. This is brand new from the post office. We've never done this before. And this is a whopping 10% off.
Whoa, say it again, Brenda. What?
Yeah, it's 10% off. You get 10% off if you do a magalog. And it's just 12 pages. It's not like your JCPenney or your Sears catalog. Don't think like that. Think it's a minimum of 12 pages, like 6 pages both sides, and it has to have a service or some retail, just some engagement, and that there's a process to go through to get it approved. But that starts October 1st and it ends well into next year, into June. And you can also get the extra 2% off that.
What's that, Mark?
I had to jump in, Brenda. Don't freak out. 12 pages is only 3 press sheets.
There you go.
Okay. That's right.
Brenda,
so anyhow, so that's, yes.
Yeah, I want to underscore for folks here who are interested in learning more about those promotions. AJ, if you don't mind, come back real quick. There's 2 things I think I want you to talk about. One is Brenda mentioned the sustainability, and then the second is the Silvamo webinar series where you helped us uncover each of these promotions here. Talk briefly about that, both of those two things.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot one of the most important parts, but also all of Silvamo paper has been pre-approved in the business customer gateway portal to get that sustainability add-on. So we have instructions on exactly what to do. We've done all the work for you. So you get that 1% if you're participating in another promotion. And yeah, like Dave said, we did a couple of webinars a couple of months ago, really doing a deep dive on the promotions. Brenda was a big part of that. I see Suzanne posted the link in the chat. So if you really need to know how to navigate the BCG portal, what to do, you can get all that information in listening to the webinars.
Fantastic. Thank you, AJ. All right, Brenda, back to you. What's happening in 2026?
Okay, so it is getting even better for 2026. All the ones that were 3% are now 5%. So
Nice.
we're talking 5% off and then an additional 2% for informed delivery and the sustainability for a total of 7% off. And we have, and here's the one thing that's new is that the tactile, sensory, and interactive starts in January. Before it was February. So now there was always like a hole. If you didn't do integrated tech at the beginning of January, there was really not a promotion. So now if you strategize right, you can do the tactile sensory starting in January and then move over to integrated technology. But that's just another option for you. The reply mail is no longer, but all the other ones really stay the same. And then the catalog insights, as you can see here, it goes through June 30th. And that's again, 10% off. That wraps up. You can talk to this very high level. I can get into the weeds on this and take an hour for each one, but we're not here today for that. And let me go into the next slide because that's really exciting too. Last year, we kicked off our Mail Growth Incentive, the MGI program. We're into our second year in 2025. We're doing it again in 2026. I don't have the newest slides for 2026 yet, but it's going to be pretty much the same. They're working on the baseline period. Oh, let me just back up. So if for our customers that do 1 million pieces is the entry, we are encouraging you to do more mail by giving you a discount by going over your baseline. So in 2025, let's say you end up you do 1.5 million pieces, then and you sign up for the MGI in 2026 at the beginning of this next year, and then you can watch your volume grow in 2026. If you're going to pass 1.5 million, we're going to start giving you 30% off credit for all the additional pieces over 1.5 million. So this is a huge discount, and we've seen hundreds of thousands of dollars come back to our customers. I think Mike mentioned that he had a customer one of you said that it was several $100,000 that they got from the
more than that, Brenda.
It was $1 million.
Yeah.
It was $1.5 million that they got in credits last year or for this coming credit year.
Yeah.
Yep.
We saw a lot of customers that got anywhere from like 100,000 to, like you're saying, 1 million. We have lots of information on this. We have guidebooks for everything I talked about and more to come as 2026 rolls around.
Chris, Lien, I know we have a poll coming up, and you've got some news we're announcing, I think, first here on this webinar about a new service that's coming out. So tell us about that.
Yep, so I will. So we're in final stages of putting this together, but one of the things that we've heard from our customer, and we got nearly 6,000 customers, when we talk to them about these promotions and the mail growth incentive and all these different ways that the Post Service is trying to help the industry move to the future, right? Try to take it to the next level. They come back to me and they say, Chris, this sounds great. 10%, 12%. Yeah, sign me up, man. I want that. But I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to sell it. And I don't know how to make money off of this. The postage discount is for the mail owner, and it's at the time of the mailing. So how does a mail service provider get to that? We've listened to you, and we're working with our postal partners. Our customer support team, certified mail design professionals. I got 24 of them that are certified mail design professionals. The Postal Service has nearly 40 people on the promotions team that are there to help. We want to assist you. So stay tuned. It's going to be launching very soon. BCC is going to be helping our customers so that as an extension of your mailing operation, we're going to help get those mail pieces pre-approved, get them screened so you can expedite and facilitate the promotion onboarding. We're going to help you get the data that you need, and we're going to have a sales tool, an ROI calculator that allows you to show your customer what the incremental impressions and response rates from priming the mailbox and using these promotions are going to result in for an improved campaign. So we're just about ready to launch this. I won't say the name yet. It's close, but we're here to help. And I'm pretty excited about it because the time is right. I can't wait to see these catalogs. I'm telling you, that catalog promotion, out of sight. It is going to be just an amazing holiday season with direct mail.
You mean the Magalog, of course.
That's a version of it. Listen,
Yeah.
it is so easy to qualify for these promotions, people. I've walked in your plants. I've seen the mail pieces you send to me. You're qualified already for a lot of this stuff. Let's get you signed up for it. Let's take advantage of it.
So Suzanne's going to launch a poll. I'm going to leave it up for about 10 seconds. Suzanne, you can bring it down when you're ready. I want to know if you would like to learn more about getting your hands into these postage promotions here. So if you want help, like Chris is describing, you're not making a commitment here, but just let us know. Do you need some help? Yes, no, or do you want some more information? Because we want to follow up and we want to make sure that you're maximizing these savings. We hear time and time again complaints about how the postage rates are going up. All of these things are squeezing our margins, right, on these little pennies or fractions of a penny that we're fighting over for direct mail. And yet you've got these things sitting here. As Chris said, many of you are doing things that already qualify. You're just not taking advantage of it. So do you want some help? I'm going to leave it up for 5 more seconds. And then Suzanne, go ahead and pull it down. 3, 2, 1. All right. We will follow up with you on those. Thank you, folks, for those of you who are interested in learning more about that. So there you have it, folks. To render something into the hands of a consumer, to get that piece into this box here, the brand running the campaign, the printer helping them, all of these technologies working together in order to create full end-to-end campaign attribution like you're seeing here. All of the technology, all of the hardware, all of the ideas, all of the people and companies that you've seen today have to come together in what's really an amazing industry here to make all of this work. And so I want to move into your questions now. I see we have about 6 minutes left officially on the clock. We will stay a few minutes over to make sure we answer all your questions. But before I do that, if you would like an opportunity to follow up, talk to any of these folks in more depth after today's session, Suzanne's going to roll one more poll here and just mark down who you would like to talk to. If you'd like to talk to Mike Robinson over there at Summit Direct Mail, an incredible resource and a super nice guy who will give so much of his time to help many of you here if you have a question. BC, we got Chris Lien, who's like the godfather of all things postal, right, Chris? I don't know how to even describe you. We've got Scott at XMPie, of course, us here at Mindfire, a lot of wonderful people here ready to help you. Of course, Mark and the Magalogs over there at HP. Yeah, okay. AJ over at Silvamo, and then Brenda and her 650,000 teammates over there at USPS are also ready to help. Turn your attention to screen. If you would like follow-up from any of these organizations, please let us know. Summit, BCC, XMPie, Mindfire, HP, Silvamo, USPS. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, Suzanne, let's bring that down and let's get into Q&A here. So folks, if you asked a question earlier and we haven't answered it yet, just go back and find that, copy it, paste it back into the chat, and I'm going to make sure to ask all of your questions. Be as selfish as you want, folks. This is for you as we do that. One question I have for you, Mike, I'm going to be selfish for myself. So Mike Robinson here, I'm wondering, how often does a customer demand of you, for example, hey, we want this digitally printed, or we want you to use this technology or this hardware in our campaign? How often are they dictating that to you?
Very rarely. Most times they tell us what we want and we tell them we put it on the best press that fits. If it's a high volume, no variability, we'll do it offset. But majority of the customers now are wanting true one-to-one digital. So depending on the volume, I'll put it on one of my different types of digital presses.
AJ, question from Jay, wondering, how are tariffs affecting the price of paper?
Well, that's a great
I'm just going to
question.
give you an easy one, okay?
We have 2 paper mills domestically. The tariffs are not impacting that. We source our fiber, usually within about 100 miles of our mills. All of it is made in America. It's something we're really proud of. Of course, we do have mills globally that it is impacting, but we're just focused on our domestic mills.
Awesome. Mike Robinson, I'm going to put this one to you from Brian. And Brian, clarify, when you say, Brian's asking how many people are needed to manage this, do you mean this entire end-to-end workflow or just the OmniChannel portion? Mike Robinson, I'm going to ask you, let's answer both. What number of people are needed to manage the whole process, and then specifically OmniChannel?
So on the print and mail side, obviously you have a salesperson that helps drive it, but then we've got people that are on their data processing and tech side that use the BCC products and the other rendering type products. So on my side, and you've got a customer support person that's going to handle the day-to-day pieces. You're talking a handful of people there, but then to get the stuff in production, the printing, there could be 20 or 30 people. But the very upfront, the front end stuff, you're talking a handful of people from the sales side to the customer service side to the data processing and text and imaging of the artwork onto the pages.
So it looks like Brian. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, as far as the other side, the OmniChannel side,
yep.
Again, another shameless plug for Mindfire. We do a lot of custom stuff. So you guys have a great team at Mindfire. So I work with the Mindfire team. And so I'm sourcing some of the builds and some of the other things that Mindfire does directly to you guys, because most of the stuff that I do isn't off the shelf stuff. It's more custom development, custom programming, which I couldn't get in the system and do anyway. But that's how we handle our stuff.
Thank you. And Brian, if you have any other questions, feel free to drop them in. But audience, those of you who are still here, I have a question for all of you. Please listen up. I want everybody here to do this for me. Open up your chat, and I want to know, as you listen to Mike, Chris, Scott, Mark, perhaps me, AJ, Brenda, what was the one thing, the aha moment, the takeaway, the value nugget, if you will, that stood out? Maybe you're taking notes like I am here. I want to know, what was the one thing that stood out to you? Please drop it there in the chat. I want to read those off. Not only does it help us, but it also helps the rest of you here in the room learn from each other. So please take a moment to do that. And as you're doing that, let me look at some of the other questions here that have come in. David Gardner, I saw you say we're using informed delivery occasionally. The business option is relatively new, so it's not as appropriate yet as residential. This will continue to get better. We help business customers sign up as a strategic way to track payments and for visibility on other incoming mail. This is especially true for customers who do B2C. Yeah, interesting. Mike Robinson, how often are you doing informed delivery for clients?
I was actually going to bring that up. We do it almost every time. The biggest piece that I can say right now that I'm seeing on this webinar that I think you guys all should utilize is what Brenda said. Almost every single one of our customers are utilizing the discounts. You know, that right now it's 3 to 5% depending on what they do. But that is key. That's a lot of money and a lot of savings. We on our side can help you get it set up, help you get set up with the Postal Service, bring in our postal reps. But the piece that is the biggest piece you're talking, if it's standard mail, you're talking over 10, 12 cents a piece, is the 30% discount. That's going to come in. You guys have to make sure you register and register before, I think last year was either May or June to get this year. You have to register. That you're missing out on a lot of money. Like I said earlier, one of my customers had over $1.5 million in credits. That's a lot of money you're throwing away if you're not registering. And if you don't know how to register, reach out. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to the Postal Service. I've got my postal account reps that can help as well. But that is a huge dollar amount that you could be saving or applying that money to do other more creative pieces.
Absolutely. Reach out to Mike, folks. If you're a printer, if you're a mail owner who's here and your printer's not offering that to you, you need to talk to somebody like Mike. Chris, Lien, when we're in the room together in Washington and we're hearing from other mail owners and folks talking about the MGI savings, what are some of the numbers that we're hearing?
Oh, millions of dollars. And remember, just to be clear, the mail growth incentive, what's so successful about that was not just the credits that were accumulated, it was the incremental net new mail pieces that were being put into the system. That's the driver, right? Because you're getting an incentive based off of how much incremental mail you're putting in based on your baseline. And I want to touch on what Mike was saying before. If you're a mail service provider and you're listening to this webinar, you are responsible for helping your customers get access to these promotions and these discounts. And it's to your benefit, right? Think about what they can do with that. Mike talked about using those credits to pay for new mail pieces. Maybe try a promotion and get a double dip on your opportunity with it. But if you're the mail service provider that helped your customer get access to the promotions and the discounts and incentives, they're going to continue to work with you. You're going to get repeat business. You're going to open up new opportunities. And I understand, I said it before, Dave, customers will tell me, Chris, I don't have time to do that. I don't know how to do it. I don't have time to do it. The promotion tab is scary to me. I'm just navigating the BCG the best I can as it is. I get it, right? So I want to assist you. I want to help you. That's part of the new service that I kind of teased there that we'll be rolling out. We want to help you register these promotion pieces. You've got all the information you need. I want to be the conduit to help streamline that process. But Mike's spot on, man. You got to look at what these promotions are and the growth incentives. Get registered early because the window for this year, calendar year, that's closed. Yep, let's get ready for 2026. Start talking to your customers now. You have the data, mail service provider. Help them get to the dance so they continue to enjoy the party.
One of the things that Chris and I here in Washington, and listen up, mail service providers, this is really at you here, is that this last year there are around 5,000 companies that send enough mail to qualify for the mail growth incentive. And only about 1,300 of those took advantage of it. So the vast majority of your customers, print service providers that are here, you let that slip through. That's on you.
Hey, Dave,
we want to help you.
Dave, I can tell you right now, I talk to new customers every day, and it's amazing that there are other providers, that the other providers that are doing what I do aren't telling their customers about this, because that's easy pickings for me to grab all these people and offer the discounts. I mean, I talked to one yesterday, and he was doing, I think he was doing close to, not big, but maybe 1 million to 2 million pieces a year. But he had no idea that these things were even out there.
Yeah, it's similar to what I was saying earlier. If you're a print sales rep or a print sales executive and you're like, oh, customers aren't asking me for OmniChannel.
They don't know.
Customers aren't asking me for the mail growth incentive. Shame on you. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox there. All right. Jay says what stood out to him is the postal discounts. Interesting, Jay. What specifically, what'd you learn there? And then Janice is saying, my manager has requested I ask this. I do both data processing using BCC and artwork data merging using InDesign and XMPy. Once I output the production files, are there any new steps or procedures I will need to do in order to accommodate Mindfire? AJ, can I throw that over to you? I just wanted to see your expression. No? Okay. Scott, so let's you and I riff on this one. So as I understand, they're using XMPy for the document composition. The question here is anything specific to do to accommodate Mindfire. It would have already happened by the time the data gets over into XMPy to render those PDFs. Scott, you want to adjust anything in what I said there?
I'm with you on that. I think we need to take that offline and go a little deeper. But yeah, upstream, maybe we're using your PQRs or your data to drive the composition in XMPy. So I think it's one step up from what is being asked, but we can kind of review that.
Yeah, Janice, happy to dig into that. Chris, Lien, on the BC side, anything you want to lean in on that?
Again, I use that word interoperability. There's still opportunity for us to do a lot more of the data sharing and communicating back and forth. But each implementation is unique. So I agree with Scott. It's a little bit more of an offline conversation to map it out and see where we have an opportunity with it. But that's there. I still see huge opportunity, and that's what we're poised to leverage.
Tremendous.
Hey, David.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just going to just say one other little pro tip about the mail growth incentive is one is that to end, even if your customer has not done 1 million, they should still register, because then if they go over 1 million, the baseline starts at 1 million. So anything over, you'll get the discount. And here's a little pro tip. 2026, the elections, there's going to be the political elections. For those that have strategy groups and stuff like that, have them sign up, because they're going to go over 1 million and it's going to be perfect timing for them. So take advantage of that. Yeah, just have them sign up. And also, and like you said, you have a whole staff here that we can help you sign up. We have guidebooks, and also the people on this call can help you sign up. But it's the main, and here's the other thing is the end customer has to sign up, but you all can help them sign up. And at the end, when they go claim their credit, this is where they have to put in the permit number that they want to use. This is where you help them, like the mail service provider help them, and then they will be indebted to you, and then use your permit number to keep you in business. I think to Chris's point, that help them out.
Thank you, Brenda. And Janice, just to tie down your question there, let us know in the chat your company, and we'll make sure to follow up with you. Susanna, my team, will pull together Scott and Chris, BC, all the folks that need to talk, and we'll make sure we get your question answered here. David saying the thing that stood out to him is the assembly of industry leaders partnering to help streamline mail processing. David, I'm glad you see that. That's exactly what we're trying to do. Jay is saying, have Brenda contact me. We're having some issues with postal delivery. Jay, what kind of issues? Just let us know there in the chat. Jay is also asking, and I'm going to put this one to you, Chris, to get Brenda out of the hot seat, but Jay is asking, what's the rumor of the present administration privatizing the postal service? Chris.
Yeah, so I'm sure a lot of you saw some of those early headlines on that. Look, here's the bottom line. Postal Service is an independent agency, right? 250 years old, older than the United States of America. They had their big celebration this year. Dave and I were there at headquarters when they were rolling out some new stamps and pretty cool stuff. No, it's an independent agency, and the president recognizes that the Postal Service has challenges, and they do. Let's not kid ourselves, right? 168 million delivery points that are growing at over 1 million each year. You have to deliver 6 days a week. You've got operating costs that are huge, and yes, they're losing revenue with that, and so they're trying to pull whatever levers they can. That's not going to help the Postal Service with the administration trying to push in there. And Secretary Lutnick doesn't have anything special in the Commerce Department up his sleeve to be able to do that. He's working on other things. He's dealing with tariffs and all these other kind of things. So the short story is, no, I don't see the administration trying to privatize the Postal Service. PMG Steiner, 76 in the lineup. PMG Steiner has already publicly stated to postal employees, to MTAC members, and to others at the recent Board of Governors meetings, he does not agree with privatizing the Postal Service. It's an institution. We need to leverage this. We need to help our postal partners build that platform and create the opportunities that direct mail is going to have for us. No, volume's not going to go back to 200 billion pieces. And the reality is that most of that mail volume at that time was not effective. It's effective now. Let's tell the story. Let's leverage the data. Let's create the campaigns that work. That's how we're going to help our postal partners. That's how we're going to grow this industry.
I'm on board with that. Mike Robinson, you got your Make Direct Mail Great hat back there, right? Again, right? Somewhere back there? Yep, there it is. Look at that. He's got merch. One more here from David Gardner saying the secret sauce is providing value to customers that our competitors are not. Absolutely, David. Congrats for taking the initiative and reminding all of us to do this, Mike. 100%. Janice, I see that you've dropped in the name of your company that you work for there. I think Suzanne can follow up with you afterwards. Jay, I think your question here is around the postal process, and it looks like it's around EDDM. Brenda, do you want to say anything about EDDM?
Oh,
No?
yeah, it's a valid product out there, and we can help you out with it. We can, if you have any questions. It's saturation, inexpensive. It's not for everyone, but it's for the right person, a realtor.
Yep.
And there's many people. Yeah, anyhow. Yeah,
Let us know what your questions are, Jay, and we'll get you connected with Brenda. Happy to help, or the right person, the right area.
Yeah, just to chime on that, EDDM is great. It's an on-ramp to targeted marketing. It's a fantastic tool to get people introduced into what the power of mail can be. That's the starting point. You can take it from there and do more targeted direct mail and really build up a campaign and a client base.
I'm going to hang back for just a few more moments here, folks. I know some of our panel is going to have to drop here or already have, but if you have any other questions, please let us know. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the screen here and just give each person an opportunity to tie down any last points that they think is important based on the questions that they see here in the chat. Mike Robinson, thank you again for being with us here today, man. What commentary do you have leaving the audience here with today?
Biggest thing I would have is direct mail is very effective. It's very powerful. And with all of these discounts and opportunities the Postal Service is giving us, you're crazy not to take advantage of it. And like Chris said, you can have email get pushed to a different folder. You actually have to grab it out of the mailbox to throw away and get it. People are actually touching and feeling it, whether they like it or not, to get rid of it. It is a valid channel and it is doing wonders, I know, for my clients, but there is a mix. And you just got to be smart enough to work with your teams to figure out what that mix is, integrating direct mail with the OmniChannel.
Thank you, Mike. Said Chris Lien, over to you based on what you've seen in the chat. What do you think?
No, so Mike summed it up really well, right? The opportunity in the future for this industry and for all of you on the webinar is to leverage the value of mail. We have the data now to be able to do it. Spray and pray is over. Now we can see where those pieces are, right? The promotions and the opportunities are within your reach. You're already doing pieces that qualify. Look for the low-hanging fruit, the easy on-ramp for some of this stuff. And if you're not sure on how to get registered for promotions or take advantage of these things, we want to help you. That's where BCC, your software providers, are there. We're not just your advocate. We're also your assistant, helping you to build a great campaign and a foundation for that physical and digital, that phygital opportunity for your customers going forward.
Scott, what about you from X and Pi? As you've looked through the chat here, what do you want to leave the audience with?
Yes, the opportunities, building on what Chris was just saying, the digital and physical combination, I think, is a big part of this, whether it's through partnerships or a platform that you have already. And the other thing I would challenge our industry and those around it is to make sure you're modernizing. Make sure you're not using legacy solutions and using old types of data formats and so on. The digital world is using live data. the digital world is are doing modern things that some of the platforms in our industry just don't support. So we want to modernize it so print doesn't stay behind.
Fantastic. Before I go to Mark, I want to know from all of you, was this helpful to you today? Was this panel and following the data through the process and the insights that each of these experts gave to you? Give me a yes in the chat if this was helpful to you. I see Jay saying this was a great session. Awesome. Jared is saying very helpful and insightful. Jay is saying yes, thank you. Awesome. Please let us know there in the chat that this was useful to you. It's always good to hear that feedback. Mark, over to you now. What do you want to leave the audience with?
I work for a big company, right? We are in hot and heavy in the budget season. This is the time to be talking about marketing spend for next year. And you saw the postal discounts. There's a lot of opportunities to make mail ROIs sing. This is the time to get into marketers' heads and make sure they understand the digital and the physical together. It's a 1 + 1 is greater than 2 scenario. So this is the time to get out there and be bragging about some of the amazing things that we're doing as an industry. Dave will be happy to give you a ton of case studies. And if you need some more, I got them too. And I know Scott does as well. We've got ammunition for you to go out and talk to your brands about what we can do with direct mail. Use it. Use the discounts. Use all of the tools together. And we're in a really good place. Yes, mail volumes are down, but you know what? The mail volumes that are down is the mail that didn't matter. I'm excited about what we're doing for the future.
Said Mark. AJ, what about from your point of view?
Yeah, I really just want to reinforce that we at Sylvama want to be a partner in this chain. And if you're considering an omni-channel technology, let us know. We can help you with that and help pay for the cost as you think about your brand owners and who might need that help tracking the ROI of your mail.
Fantastic. Thank you, AJ. Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Brenda representing USPS that makes all of this ultimately possible. What do you want to leave the audience with today?
I just want to tell people to not be scared of the promotions and to dive into them with us. And once you learn how to do it and, you know, you've got all these people to help you, it will be so easy. A lot of people that I work with, MSPs I work with, and customers, if they don't have time, it's overwhelming. And it isn't. Once we're here to teach you, but just once you get through it, you're going to see money coming off your bill weekly. And just, it's easy, but it does seem overwhelming at first. We've got a lot of guidelines, there's stuff to do, but engage with us. We're here to help. That's all.
Lean in. Yep. I still see a lot of you here in the room. Brian, Bart, Clef, David, a couple of Davids, Heather, Janice, Jarrett. Any other questions? Steve, Tom, Tyler, hey, Rick, Kim. Hey, Kim, it's good to see you. Any other questions from anybody else? I'm going to wait just a few more moments. If I missed your question earlier, drop that in here into the chat. But if not, you know how to reach us, and we will follow up with those of you who are interested in speaking further. Again, for all of the panel here and for the incredible team here at Mindfire who made all of today possible, I want to thank you for your time. I know that your time is precious and that you've spent almost, 70, 80 minutes with us is certainly a gift. So thank you very much for your time, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, and we will be following up with everyone shortly. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.